Welcome to another weekly market report with Kristen Mason Coreas, owner of the Homes by Mason team. This is data for the larger DC metro area as of this past Sunday, April 13th. I did look up when was spring break for Fairfax County last year, because right now we are in Fairfax County's spring break, and that is certainly going to have an impact on our market. A lot of people are on vacation, certainly people with kids are on vacation. And while some buyers out there don't have kids, their realtors might, or school teachers. Like I have a condo, for example, that I just said to my client, your buyer might be a school teacher, and that school teacher might be enjoying spring break this week. So there's typically going to be less activity during the spring break week, which is right now. Now, when we're looking at that year over year data, I wanted to know, was spring break the same time last year? It was not. So spring break last year for Fairfax County was the last week of March. So that's going to impact our numbers here. That's how I wanted to start today. So as of this past Sunday, it was the start of spring break. So you might have noticed on your Facebook feed, if you're still on Facebook like I am, that a lot of people were going away this weekend. They were getting on planes and going out of town this weekend. So this data includes just a sliver of our Fairfax County spring break, and then next week will include the whole week of spring break. So keep that in mind as we're looking at the data. That said, showings are down year over year because we're in spring break. So, well, again, the start of spring break. And we're also down week over week. So 3.3% week over week, 12% year over year. Purchase contracts are up week over week. That is what we would normally see. They're up by 5%, but down by the same amount year over year, down by 5.4% year over year. Again, that last weekend, the start of spring break, may be why there were less contracts, because people were traveling, perhaps. Time to contract longer, both year over year and week over week, 2 days week over week, and longer by 3 days. The median time to contract in Northern Virginia right now, 22 days. Still not a lot of time. And new listings are up year over year, 9.8%. That's a trend we've continued to see, but down week over week. Again, during spring break, probably a lot of people are choosing not to list and might not even be around to list. So that doesn't really concern me. That makes some sense considering what is happening right now with it being spring break week. And active listings are up a big number, 47.5% year over year. That's a trend we've continued to see, and up week over week, 3.9%, what I would normally expect. So then median list price is flat. It's 0% year over year and 0.1%. So that is essentially flat. And that is what I am anticipating. I had this conversation. People often ask me, what do I think is going to happen in the real estate market? I don't have a crystal ball. That's why I look at the data. The data informs me. My best guess, based upon the data and listening to experts in the industry, is that prices are going to moderate. We still are not out of the clear in terms of inventory amounts. We still don't have quite enough inventory. I mean, we are still down in inventory compared to pre-pandemic levels, and it's that demand has continued to be strong in general, although now we are starting to see perhaps a decline in demand. So supply and demand are what influences price, and moderating. We don't think that we're going to see a crash in prices, but we also believe we're not going to see prices continuing to go up as we have year over year over year over year. So perhaps a flatlining in price for the time being, which is what we see this week in this data. That is your weekly market report for this week. Thank you for watching. And if you want to talk with me more about what's happening in the market and how that impacts you, you can click down below at the bottom of the email to get on my calendar, or reach out anytime at 571-210-1866. Thanks so much and have a great weekend.